This is a wakeboard meant for flat water, so naturally, I wanted to see if I could ride it out at Jaws. I mean, what could go wrong? I was introduced to this board through kiteboarding, and it allows you to do all these technical tricks and be able to land both ways. It handles insane speed, and that's where the lights sort of went off. And if I could go really fast on this kiteboard and go really high in the air, why can't I do it on a giant wave? The very first session, I was pretty confident that I would be able to go down the line and maybe do a turn, and gosh, if I had enough speed, I could hit the lip and do a trick. And the biggest, most fun thing that happened in that little moment was getting towed into a wave and going down the line and thinking like I'm snowboarding, going up that quarter pipe, which is the wave, and landing back into transition switch. So going up regular and going out a different stance into goofy. And that right there got me really excited. I was like, well, if you could do this on a really small wave, what if you could do this on a really big wave? And it wasn't too long after we got a small Jaws swell, really clean conditions, nobody around, really perfect conditions to test it out. And as soon as I got a couple waves out there, the speed sensation was completely different. I was going twice as fast. Nothing that the board couldn't handle, but it was having the confidence in these fins that were no taller than an inch to hold my edge in and to be able to go down the line and not catch my edge and hit myself in the back of the head, which the first wave I actually got, I was getting a little bit cute and caught an edge and went over the falls, and my board almost went on the rocks. So in that single moment, I thought this wasn't gonna work. How could I ride a bigger wave if the speed is too hard to control? But I really leaned onto all the training I did before and the vision of what was possible, and I started to make it work. And by the end of that session, it completely was opening a new door for what was possible, and I just needed a bigger day. It was April. We thought winter was done, and all of a sudden this giant swell popped up and there was an opportunity. There were a lot of questions whether this day was even gonna be rideable. On the forecast, it said nuclear winds, 30 to 40 miles per hour, and a swell that was coming out of the north, which can make Jaws very unpredictable and pretty dangerous. We went up to the cliff to check it out, and right then and there, I saw this is maybe my last opportunity to get on this wakeboard in a really big wave. Summer was coming up, winter was trailing off, and we had to make it happen. So with only a few hours of light left, we collected all our stuff at the warehouse, ran down to the harbor, and went out to see what was possible. The waves were really big and they're really choppy and very unpredictable. It was really easy to be too deep. Of course, you're on this tiny board that is a total of 8 liters in volume, extremely short, 4'6". I mean, it's unlike any board that we typically ride out there. And the first thing I noticed was going Mach 10 down these waves, where I had to put complete faith into the edge of that board. If I even made one mistake, it was game over. I was going over the falls. My summer would have been one of recovery, because I'm sure the wipeout would leave me injured. But it wasn't until I got to the bottom where it smoothed out and the wind transitioned a little more offshore that I thought, wow, there's actually a real future with this. What else can I do with it? Where can I go with it? Can I go to Mavericks? Can I do this at Decesare? And I was thinking all this while dropping into a giant wave at Jaws. And then I had to refocus and be like, wait, I'm still surfing this big wave. I gotta just make it to the channel. And once I made it to the channel, I saw like the future, because essentially I glided from the wave all the way to where my brother and my friend Tucker were sitting in the channel. And I was like, wow, the glide and the speed that is capable on one of these things, and the ability to transition stances, to be able to go regular goofy foot at a moment's notice. It just opens up a new world of fun. After a few waves, warming up, I was able to like get a little more confident and start doing some switch maneuvers, and I really knew that I wanted to get barreled. And I had actually gotten a really good wave, and everyone was ready to go. Okay, let's get out of here. It's dark. And it's a double-edged sword, because if you say one more, that can usually lead to absolute annihilation, losing, a jet ski onto the rocks, having everything go wrong. But I believe differently. I believe in creating your moment, basically seizing the opportunity. It's like, it's gonna be a long summer and I'm gonna regret not getting one more. And just like that, we went out the back and this wave popped up. And these waves have a particular look to them. They have this big horseshoe bend that kind of surrounds you, which is very intimidating, but having had so much experience, I know those are the ones that barrel. I was holding onto the GoPro and I was like, okay, just fade, go a little bit deeper, don't outrun it. and the board was going so fast. I thought I was gonna skip out in the beginning as I was dropping in, and I just really focused on stalling. And it was really hard to stall the board because it's so darn fast. You can't lean back on it because it just accelerates. I had a GoPro in my hand, so I couldn't drag in the water, so I decided to go all the way to the bottom, as low as I could, until I saw a point of no return. And those are the moments that you get those giant tubes. And as I saw that horseshoe bending around me, I started to do a gentle bottom turn, and the water smoothed out, and I just had to stand up and put my arms up. And I had the GoPro in my hand, and there was just this moment when you're just, get eclipsed by this giant wave. And the scariest part is watching the whole world fold over you. But once you're inside there, all of a sudden you feel like, nothing else exists. It's pure euphoria. And through that giant vortex, that big tunnel, you see the exit, and all I saw was my brother Ridge and my friend Tucker with their arms in the air. And came out, basically hopped switch out of it, and that's what I had come for. I had kind of fulfilled this goal that I had for a while, and it kind of opened the door to what was possible. What does this mean for the future? I'm not totally sure yet, but I look at places like Decesare as opening the ultimate potential for what is possible with this wakeboard. Because that wave itself is a giant mountain, what if you're able to do all these giant spins but then land in a different stance? And what if that different stance allows you to be in a better position to get a giant barrel? I'm gonna be flying my kite and going to the gym and doing whatever I can to be prepared for this next season to see if it's even possible. And we just don't know until we go.